Hello and welcome to Containment Breach, 3-minute meets, not a damn one of which has been 3 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Christian DeMatteo, co-founder of Fugitive Poems Comics, and we are hard at work on Containment Breach Volume 2, our second comic anthology. This one bearing the theme, the overall umbrella theme of mythology, myth reborn. And I have with me today one of our fantastic contributors, Matt Battaglia. Now, I
Thanks.
went Italian with that. Do you
I,
go
no,
Italian?
I appreciate it. Whenever anyone goes full Italian with it, I'll follow with it. I love it.
Yeah, I realized I meant to ask you if you did Battaglia, but
No, go Battaglia. If
good
if
as an
if
Italian.
someone else gives clearance to go full Paisan, I'm gonna go full Paisan.
Ah, yeah, yes. And now for the rest of this, we're going to be talking about,
I mean, I'm rocking a Corto Maltese shirt, so
which
you know,
I meant to mention before. That is beautiful. I love it.
yeah. I got it when I was over in Barcelona with my wife, and I every time we go to Europe, I drag her into a comic book shop because they like, in Europe they love comics and they have great comics. And anytime I'm there, like I've only been there twice, but still pick up a ton of comic stuff and anything Hugo Pratt, I'm all in.
My uncle, my mother's brother, my Zio Glauco is his name.
Mhm.
When I went to Italy for the first cognizant time, I was 4 the first time I went. But
Yeah.
when I went there again at 13, I discovered his comic collection. His Diaboliques, his Tex, his Dylan
Uh-huh.
Dog
Uh-huh.
collection, and some of which had some racy stuff in there, which I was excited about
Yes,
at that age.
yes, it does.
But I mean, they have always understood that the comic medium is more than just capes, that
Oh, for
so much
sure.
can be done with it. And the art is incredible. But I haven't even finished interviewing you yet. But this is going to be amazing. So this
Already.
is Matt Battaglia, and he is the artist on one of our awesome stories. And I'm going to tell you, I was so excited when we got an email from Matt because I had seen his work with Doug Wood on Leap M, and I was on vacation in the Lake Saranac during the pandemic, so we were like hiding out in the woods. It was the only thing you could do. We were hiking just because there's no people around during the worst, not the worst of it. And the family went to bed, and I downloaded it and said, "Let me just start it tonight." And I read the whole thing twice. There are images in there that and James and I, my creative partner James Lyons, the other half of Fugitive Bumps, we've just sat with them. And I mean, Matt, you do beautiful work.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's whenever you draw comics, it's always like you're just waiting for some sort of response back, and I don't even care if it's one person that reads it, as long as they say like something nice,
Yeah.
that just means the world to me. So I appreciate it. I'm glad that you read it and enjoyed it. It was for the first like comic I've had out since I did Indoctrination with Mike, who's gone on to do plenty of amazing books, and he and that came out in I want to say 2015, 2016, which doesn't sound that long ago, but it's forever ago. And so I'm glad to be making comics again and putting stuff out.
Well, and we're not going to get to it yet because it'll be all I talk about. But we need to talk about what you've got coming out with Dauntless Stories.
Hmm.
That is exploding
Goes to
my
the
brain, but
carousel.
I'm going to stop now.
Okay,
It's called
let's
Go to
talk
the Car.
Catalyst.
We're going to get to, we still haven't talked about who you are. We'll get to it because, oh my gosh, is it good? So who the heck are you? Let's start with that. Let's start.
uh, I Matt Battaglia. It sounds good saying it in the Italian, but I draw comics. I do professionally. I do video production for a libertarian company called Free the People. We do documentary stuff. My
Wow.
wife and I live here in Philadelphia. I've been doing comics since I was probably born. I think I came out of the womb with like with a pencil. I grew up. Uh, I grew up in the town next to where the Kubert School is. So I grew up going to like the Saturday morning sketch class with Fernando Ruiz and that crowd. So that sort of, and I went to high school with I can never remember which Emma Kubert, who's doing now. She's got a book out at Image, and I'm Inkblot, I believe is the name of it.
Oh yeah,
But
that's
like she
okay.
was like a couple grade. She played lacrosse with my youngest sister. So like for me, there was always this, and this was great. But you could always see like, oh, there's real like comics royalty lived right in your next door. So it never felt like I don't know. So I always had like a wealth of access to sort of comics and art, and that was really a great thing to grow up with. So fast forward to now, I've sort of just been trying to get back into drawing a lot more comics and trying to go as hard as possible on it.
And you're killing it.
Thank you.
Um, you know what? I can't wait anymore. We'll talk about what you're doing for us in a minute. I mean, because this is the perfect moment.
Okay.
Matt has a book coming out that he wrote and drew and everything. It's all him.
Hmm.
And it's been picked up. It's being released by Dauntless Stories,
Hmm.
run by the terrific Marcus Jimenez. And it's called Ghosts of the Carousel, which, by the way, right off the bat, badass title.
Thank
Uh,
you.
love it. Um, Matt has shown me some of it. And Matt, I gotta tell you, and I'm gonna let you talk about it in a minute, but the
Okay.
power of it, the power
Thank
of
you.
the images. In what I saw, there were maybe 20 words. And
There's going to be less by the time it goes to print.
it reminded me of the original German woodcuts. And there's a moment, I'm not gonna say a word about what it is, that brought William Blake to mind with the power of this iconic but original imagery, if that's possible, and it felt that way, like it was possible to me. Um, one of the few lines in it, and it doesn't need
Mhm.
it, it's there, the story's there, but one of the lines in it, when that line appears,
Mhm.
just rings out. I gotta tell you, I felt it. So tell me about it from your end. What is it?
Uh,
Where'd it come from?
Wait, you got to tell me. You can tell me off air if you want, but you got to tell me what line it is so I don't cut
I can tell you right now,
it. What was it?
out of context, I don't think it ruins anything.
Yeah.
I might not get it exact, but
Is
I'm
it
not ready for what you have to
okay?
offer.
Okay, that I'm not cutting that line anyway.
Don't cut
Okay,
that
great.
line.
No, it's not going to cut.
Because it's not what you would expect the person to say in that situation. You would expect the character to say in one direction or another. This is
Hmm.
ah. So where did
Thank
this
you.
come from? Where did Ghosts in the Carousel come from?
I did the original mini comic, which and I mean you can see the style shift. I think there's a pretty obvious break. But I did that mini comic in 2019. Um, it- and if you read it, I think that like I don't want to. The one thing, since it's an emotion based book. Like there's not everything. I think a lot of comics today are very plot focused, and this is not plot really at all. It's very, I want you to feel it. So I don't want to color too much about like, I think that if you read it, you can figure out where I was coming from when I was making it. But I don't want to say too obviously of what I think it is. I want people to be able to pull their own, feelings out of it. But I did the original mini comic in 2019, and my hope was going into 2020, I'd be able to bring it around to cons and have it almost as like a business card or whatever. And then 2020 happened, and that didn't. There were no cons, and I realized, and going through a lot of, the mess that was last year, there were a lot of new emotions and new things that happened that I kind of wanted to. That I realized I had more to tell with that story, and I had more that I could do with the idea. And the basic idea is I mean, it, it's sort of a. I would like to think of it as if it should fit somewhere in between, like, some of like Bruce's Tunnel of Love and some, Gaslight Anthem stuff, where, dealing with, loss and sadness and grief, and using the sort of the mythical aspect of the as like the boardwalk, and specifically in this comic Asbury Park, and encountering the Jersey Devil as a way of um, sort of handling grief and loss, and how do you move on from that?
You just said Bruce's Tunnel of Love album, and now
Yeah,
the whole album I can see in spots with what I oh,
yeah,
wow. Yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Sure,
So I did
because
you
that
read the ending? Did you see that? I
I
sent you the
didn't
PDF.
get a
Did you look
chance
at
to
it?
look
Okay,
at it yet
that's
today.
fine.
But I was about to, and my 2.5-year-old daughter wanted to chase butterflies,
That's fair.
and I had to make a parenting choice. Uh,
That's very responsible.
so who has appeared on because pandemic professional? All
Yep,
three of my children have walked in during these interviews, so they're all been
totally acceptable. What
exactly,
else? You don't have any other no other
exactly.
options.
So yeah, I everything you're saying is fitting in with my take on it, even if I
Hmm.
didn't realize the factors of it. Folks, it's powerful and it's beautiful. That's the thing is that it's
Some
powerful and it's
some
beautiful. Oh,
pages.
what do you got? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have all. I mean, this is the whole. This second sort of part of the book is right here. Um, so I mean, I do everything. I do any personal projects. I do like 9 by 12 because I find it's a lot faster to work that way.
Okay.
Um, so, and then it's all, you know, it's all just ink. This is mostly brush. Uh, Here's the thing that I'm going to redo in the first part. That's the line. The thing I'm gonna redo in the first part is I got to re-letter the first part so it matches. I prefer the look of the hand lettering because it feels more of like a piece of the art and everything. Um, and and so yeah, but I mean it's a very personal book. There's a lot of things that I think that I hope that when people get to the ending, I hope that there's something positive that people can pull out of it. I didn't want to. I realize that the first part ends on a very gloomy note, and so I part of it, you know, and I realized that I produced a documentary that came out recently, and which was about like a family going through 2020 and family-owned restaurant, and they lost their son, and sort of I realized that what the theme with that is people going through a hard time and trying to find hope at the end, and I think, and I'm not to use the word hope too frequently, but I'm hopeful that this book, when people get to the end, the takeaway is something positive and something where in spite of whatever struggles or things that ail you, you should try to look for a way to live life.
I don't agree with your choice of the word, and it's your artwork, so you can tell me to go to hell. I don't care what you think. I don't feel that the word gloomy is right. I think it's too powerful for that. One of the things that I'm
Thank you.
noticing about people tell you something's powerful and you never
uh,
watch it because you know it's going to shred your soul, right? It's like, oh, good, it's
yeah,
powerful. It won an Oscar. I'm sure it's
yeah,
important,
I don't
right?
want to watch it. It looks too sad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not going to make it through. I'm depressed enough. This
Hmm.
isn't that. This is powerful on it's not just about grief. It's about the process. It's about the rage that is fueled by the love this mix of good and bad that you can't be so angry if you don't care so much. You can't be so sad if you didn't feel so deeply. And in what I've seen, it's not to me gloomy is sort of one two-dimensional direction.
Hmm.
I never felt that. I felt the excitement of that collision of emotions that grief really is, right? Because
Hmm.
grief is sort of a catch-all term for your head exploding.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm getting out of this.
Well, I
Um,
appreciate that a lot.
yeah, I don't there's nothing that made me say, "Woo! Oh, that was heavy, man. Glad I read it, but I wouldn't read it again," right? You know what I
It
mean?
wasn't. It's not monsters. I'll say that. I don't know if you've read the new Barry Windsor Smith monsters yet.
I have it and I haven't done
Okay.
it yet. It's
Okay.
waiting for me.
That's a like I'll read like 20 pages and be like, "Ooh, that's brilliant," but okay, we had enough for tonight.
I'm about to give it as a gift to my senior editor, Mark Capitelli, one of my oldest
Okay.
friends, best friend. Should I not? Because it was just his birthday.
It is a masterpiece. It's heavy, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
Um, I have it up on my shelf up there, and it's like I'm maybe a quarter of the way through, and it's just one of those books that keeps taunting me. But it's definitely worth reading, and it's totally it, but it's sad. I mean, I don't know. I kind of I feel like so, and I like the anthology that we're doing because there seems to be a little bit there seems to be a lot of variation that's going on in here, but it's so much of what I think a lot of people, at least on the internet, seem to focus on with comics is like it's all the cape stuff, and it's like we were saying at the top of this, it's there's so much opportunity in comics as an art form, and there's so many things that only comics as a medium can do. I don't think Ghost would work in any other medium. I mean, maybe I could make it into a film, but it's still, I don't know that it has the same vibe. It's the only medium where you can basically put your entire self into it, and there doesn't have to be anyone else involved.
Again, you called up for me the German woodcuts, the beginning of expressionism. Not that
Mhm.
your style is expressionistic, the emotion is. Um,
I'm hoping for a less good Paul Pope. Like a like a C-lister Paul Pope. That's that's my
there are frames in Ghosts uh, that tell a story by themselves. That's why I got the woodcuts in my head.
Mhm.
And you already mentioned it, the Jersey Devil. That's where all of a sudden I'm looking at William Blake's take on the Inferno. Um, for me, the gold standard of that kind of storytelling, you're talking about monsters, right? For
Yeah.
me, the gold standard is From Hell, which
Yeah.
is, as far as I'm concerned, could be taught next to A Tale of Two Cities and Shakespeare. It's
Yep.
literature. It accomplishes more things than you would imagine. I think that goes back to what you're saying. When you get a master like masters like Alan Moore and Eddie Campbell,
Mhm.
that book works on like 7,000 different levels.
Oh, and Eddie Campbell, I don't know if you've read Bacchus or his Alec book, but like the way that he uses style is it's so impressive, and he uses it in From Hell. His storytelling is something I love. His Alec, which is very, it's all, I guess it's semi autobiographical or something, but he does really neat stuff with it, and I mean, and it's not, and like I said before, like and it's not super plotty. At least that's not how I feel it is. It's sort of disjointed, and I just there's a lot more emotional heft in the line in his art um than I think is something that comics can do more of, as well. And Paul Pope's it's the One Trick Ripoff collection, has a lot of his like more experimental comics in there, that are also I were very instructive for me, and I've been digging a lot more into more indie stuff, and like oddly the more like the late period pretty wild Ditko stuff where he just is doing whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah.
um you know it it's just seeing how free the guy is with his use of the medium, and like he's using it to do, he's writing his screeds in it, but it just I just there's that switch that you flip where you're like, okay, well, I just want to make something for me, and I don't necessarily want to do something that's a mainstream thing. I just want to I have these emotions that I need to express, and I'm going to use comics to do it. And okay.
All right. So Matt, the gods of the internet just decided that Matt and I are, as Matt just said, too Italian to keep talking, and they froze on us. So here's what we're going to do. Uh, I'm going to keep talking to Matt. I'm going to keep recording, but
So
I'm going to stop this recording right now. This is going to be Matt Battaglia part one, and we're going to find out what he's doing in Containment Breach. Here's your cliffhanger in part two. However, right now, you're going to take this opportunity of this break to go where to pre-order Ghost of the Carousel.
dauntlessstories.com and just pre-order right on the site. You'll see the banner on the front page. So yeah, I think we're gonna do some stickers and fun stuff if you pre-order. So
I do.
the book is a week. It's like a week from being done. So it'll ship on time. And yeah, I hope everyone enjoys it. Hope everyone orders it.
I pre-ordered, and so should
Thank
you.
you.
And the next thing we're going to do is talk about the reason we got together. My name is Christian DeMatteo. I am co-founder of Fugitive Poems. I'm so glad to have Matt Battaglia with me. We're about to do part two. I'll see you when that's released. We are Fugitive Poems, and we make comics.